Here's a quick tutorial on how to stone an elite black tank top with the crystals to match the team warm-up tank top. The things that you need are, first of all, E6000 glue. You can get this at any hobby store or Walgreens even, I think sometimes carries it, and Walmart for sure. Then you need toothpicks, just any old toothpicks. You need crystals. We use the SS 16s. It says it here on the template. SS 16s, and they are white, not the AB, just the plain white. And those you can get at Action Fabrics. You can buy them at Hobby Lobby and Michaels sometimes, but they're pretty pricey. And I prefer to get mine from MJ Trim, which is mjtrim.com in New York, and they charge about half what anybody else charges. Then you also need to use the stencil that I made up, either this bag of Quilter's Pounds, which will be in Yaga's office. It's just a powder, or you can just use talcum powder if you don't have that. And then you need one of our templates, which will make it a lot easier to place the stones. There's one where you can see I've got a longer measurement here to line up, and one where it's a little bit higher, and the higher one is for the older girls, so that because of the way the older girls' tank tops fit, it's better to have it a little higher up. So, using a Target, one of the Target tanks, they have a gather here, and that's another reason to use the template that is further away. So you would line up the top of the template with that band here, and then position it like this. It takes a little eyeballing, and you've got to make sure the pleats are nice and flat. And it usually takes a couple of tries to get a nice, perfect, clean, straight one. Then you take the Quilter's Pounds, you just kind of squeeze it a little. It's very fine powder, and you push it through the holes. Usually just takes a couple of swipes, and then you lift this off, and it shows you exactly where your stones are going to go. If you make a mistake or it's crooked, you can just wipe this off. It's such a fine powder, it just comes right off, and then you can do it again. You could also use talcum powder. Another thing to watch out for then, for the next stage, when you're actually going to glue the stones, if you have one of these shelf bras under the tank top, you're going to want to put foil or wax paper in between so that you don't adhere the glue will sometimes go through the fabric, and you don't want to adhere the two layers of fabric together, and even more, you don't want to adhere it to the back. So I have made up these forms. That's a little bit of overkill, but I use them for the leotard that does the whole body with a piece of foam core in there and foil. You can also just take a little block of cardboard, cover it with foil, or you can stick a piece of wax paper in there. I kind of prefer to use cardboard because it gives you something to push down on when you're trying to make sure the stone is stuck. So the next thing you do, after you've stenciled your lettering, I'm going to just do this on a small piece of fabric. So if I'm going to stencil this one, let's see, I'll just start with doing the LI. Again, just rub that in, get it through the holes. So now you've got your dots, which will give you the exact position for your stones. Now you take your E6000. You can go straight out the nozzle, but you tend to get too much glue. So a little trick that they taught me at Action Fabrics is to just stab a toothpick in there. In fact, I can do another one now. Just stab a hole. You get a nice fresh spot, and what happens is the glue just sort of oozes out, and it gives you just about the right amount. I don't know if you can see, so the glue is just balling up. It very slowly oozes out, and you can take little bits of that and get just the right amount. And when it starts to clog up, you just get yourself a new, a fresh hole. So then you take your stones. We've got these in the office at the gym. Just lay them out on your shirt Doesn't really matter what order you glue them. You want to turn them upside down so you've got the foil size up. Then you take your toothpick. You get a small dab of glue from that spot where it's bubbling up. Sometimes a little too much comes out. Wipe that off, get it clean. I waited too long, so it started to bubble up a little more. So now you've got a little blob of glue. You pick up the stone with that. The less you handle it, the better. So it sticks to the toothpick. And then you flip it over, right over one of those dots. Hold it down with your fingertip and pull the toothpick out. And that should be it. Then I like to tap them down a little with the toothpick to make sure that glue is embedded into the fabric. So you just carry on like that until you've covered all of those white dots. It takes 39 stones to do the word Elite on one of these shirts. And you just keep going like that. You have about 3 or 4 minutes at the most to reposition them if you get them in the wrong spot. The glue dries very quickly. If you put one in the wrong spot, you can take it off very quickly and just kind of rub the glue off, and it's sort of like a rubber band. But once it dries, the only thing I know of that'll take it off is a product called Goo Gone. You can saturate it in that. It's kind of an oily thing that will remove or dissolve the E6000. So it is possible to take them off. If you have an old shirt, you could take them all off and reuse them. But you see how all this extra glue, if you get it right when it's still wet, it's kind of rubbery and it bubbles up and you can get it off. So one more time, just take a dab of this, grab one of these stones and place it on one of those dots. And that's it. Sometimes it sticks to your finger, and in the end you end up with the stones all in position. Any excess powder just rubs right off. And that's about it.